Shabbat Shalom Israel. It's your brother Marcus G back with yet another truth for thought. First and foremost, I must give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High. I must give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, God of Israel. Remember that, God of Israel. Y'all gonna hear that a lot today. Now, second of all, prayer list. Boy, this list gets longer and longer, I promise you. Israel, I want you to understand that when I'm asking you to keep these people in prayer, these people that I'm literally saying are people that are on the path of righteousness, meaning they are walking in righteousness, all right? They are observing the Sabbath. They are observing the high holy days and the feast days. They are walking in righteousness, all right? First and foremost, I got Queen Raya. She currently has a GoFundMe going. In the description will be the link for that. Also, I want to say Queen Valerie, Queen Keisha, love you, beloved. I'm definitely keeping you in my prayer. Again, reach out to Emily in regards to the vervain. All right, gave you the number and everything. It's going to help you a lot. All right. Next we got King Will and his queen. Actually, King Will, his queen, his whole family, including his grandchild, which King Will and his queen have custody of. Now, King Orbia and Queen Melinda. King Jermaine and Queen Kenya. Israel, here lately I've been talking about this young Israelite couple that I've been working with. The link to their GoFundMe also is in the description. This young Israelite couple is the epitome, per the Bible, of what a married couple is to be. I've mentioned certain truth for thoughts in regards to them of late, all the way up to and including, and they are homeless currently. Like today on this Sabbath, I'm going to call my beloved sister and brother, or brother and sister, and I'm going to speak with them. They are currently on the street. They do have jobs, but they are currently on the street. Their GoFundMe is also in the description. King Ricky, also known as Pretty Ricky, to the royal family. Pretty Ricky is, and to Israel, our beloved brother. He's very prominently known within the royal family. Due to some things that he did in his past, he has been incarcerated. I did just yesterday in our beloved brother, King Mike Malice's lesson. He asked that I let everyone know he loves you all. Also, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Not only myself, but my beloved brother and I, King Mike Malice, both have been in close contact with our beloved brother. And he asked that I share these with you all, which I do every week, every Sabbath. I contact our beloved brother. So I'm going to read this to you, and I'll read his response as well. Shabbat Shalom, beloved. Hope all is well. And this is me messaging him. Shabbat Shalom, beloved. Hope all is well. How are you physically, mentally, and spiritually? Beloved, I hope you got to at least write down the calendar for the high holy days and feast days that I sent you. I did upload a calendar for the year of man calendar 2023 to 2024. And I also sent it to him as well. Not gonna lie, first and foremost, because I can't, and as I repented for that, it's been kind of rough not seeing you in either our beloved brother King Mike Malice's chat or my very own for the Truth for Thoughts. However, it's obvious that the Most High has you doing some things with our nation, even there. I stated that because last week he said that he's in here, he's there again, incarcerated, and he's reaching out to his brethren, letting them know who they are. All praises to the Most High. It does not, listen, I put a post out on Instagram that said something to the summation of the Most High will use he which he pleases. He which is his will to do. It had examples of like certain drunkards and adulterers that the Most High utilized to do his will. Our beloved brother, even incarcerated, walking in righteousness, going to do everything he can to keep the high holy days and feast days, observe the Sabbath. I make sure that he knows it's the Sabbath. That's why I text him on the Sabbath, every Sabbath. This is what I'm going to do with my beloved brother. Even though incarcerated, he is doing the will of the Most High God of Israel. All praises, honor, and glory to the Most High for that. All right, let me keep going. Where did I leave off? However, it is obvious that the Most High has you doing some things with our nation, even there. I know you stated it hasn't been as hard on you as you figured it would be. Just in case, remember even the verses I gave you while you were in court, King, which were Deuteronomy 31:6, Joshua 1:9. You can even reference Joshua 1:6. Understand, and I say this to all of Israel, as lonely as it may ever seem while on this path of righteousness, you are never alone. That is to everyone who is walking on the path of righteousness. As lonely as it may seem, you are never alone. At the very least, the Most High and Yahweh Shai are there with you, King. I and King Mike Malice are also here with you. Till next time, be it the Most High's will. Love you, King, and Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to you, King. Now, that was me messaging him. And like I said, he asked that I share these with you all. So I'm going to share his response. All praises to the Most High God, King. I am doing great mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for asking. I just got a pencil off commissary today. I will be writing them down shortly. Thank you and Mike for your support. It means the world to me. I also miss being in the chats as I have a long way to go to be saved. I hope I get out before the Most High calls time out. That's all that's been on my mind. My biological family has been very supportive as well, like I said. I've done this before. Most High willing, I can do it again. Thanks again, King. Shabbat Shalom. The whole time that our beloved brother has been there incarcerated, he's exhibited the two things that I'm going to be addressing today. And I'll get into that a little later. I'll get in that a little later. Let me keep going. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Again, keep our beloved brother, King Ricky, in your prayers. Also, I want to mention Queen Tanya, King Malik, Queen Carly, King Yada, King Gideon, Queen Doris, King Mike Malice, and myself, Israel. As I always do, I ask that you pray for those of Israel that are on the path of righteousness. Keep your nation wrapped in prayer. I mean, at the very least, even the people whose GoFundMe are in the description. Of course, it's the Sabbath. If you are able to be charitable and donate, you can't be obedient. Observe the Sabbath. Do it after the Sabbath. Like I said, I'm going to reach out to, I spoke with Queen Raya not too long ago this week, spoke to Queen Kenya and King Jermaine. I'm going to be reaching out to them as well today. I will also be reaching out to, and I almost forgot, y'all, King Diamond and Queen Lashonda. All praise to the Most High for not allowing me to forget. Keep them also wrapped in prayer, Israel. Now, going from the prayer list, we're going to go to the royal gathering. Israel 2 weeks ago, not this past Sabbath, the Sabbath before, my beloved brother did a lesson. Oh, was it powerful? Because at the time we were nowhere near securing the venue. But after that lesson, prior to this week's lesson, the building has been secured in Israel. ATL, we will be in that building. May the 26th, we will be in Atlanta for the royal gathering. Because we have secured the building, now we are announcing tickets are available for sale and purchase. However, Israel, again, be obedient. Stay on this path of righteousness. It is the Sabbath. The link to ticket purchase will also be in the description. Israel, we look forward to seeing you. We care not if you are in a camp or not. We care not if you're in the truth or not. So if you bring someone with you that's not in the truth, that is fine. That's where they need to be. Now, understand, Israel, certain amount of seats in this place. It's a certain amount of seats in this place, and it'll probably sell out. We are asking that if you're going to purchase tickets to give them away, don't do that just yet. We're asking that people that will definitely be there purchase your tickets, secure your spot, so that we can maximize the potential, basically. Israel, we look forward to seeing you. I promise you, it's a lot of people I've spoken with just over the past week. I'm telling them all, I want to see you. I want to meet you personally. I want to see you there. All right. I will personally be giving some shouts out. Sirach, glorious and warlike apparel. It's going to have I'm going to have on a number of items from our beloved brother, King Kwam. I will have your pair of all praises to the Most High Passover edition shoes on. Israel, these are other Israelites that have apparel that sets you apart. I promise you, when y'all see what I'll be donned in, as well as all the way down to my shoes, from my neck down to my shoes, you all will understand. Support our brothers, support our sisters. Queen Layabai. I don't know if you're here in the chat or not. All natural products. I've ordered from her several times. We have people that just make teas. Israel, these are Israelites that are providing goods and services for you, Israel. For you. Support our brethren and our sisters. Now, today's truth for thought. Oh, one other thing. Y'all may see my hair. Working on my dreadlocks. Yes, I'm going to letting my hair lock up. I know it look different for some people. Be like, well, what do you do to his hair? Yeah, got it twisted. Working on my dreadlocks. So today's truth for thought. We will be looking at the very basic thing for Israel to do and the why. The why that it behooves us to get back to those basics. We'll be coming out of mainly Baruch chapter 4 and chapter 3, but also out of the Torah. And there is a reason for this. There's a reason I'm coming out of Baruch, and a reason I'll be coming out of the Torah. First, I want everyone to understand, those of you that might not know, when you hear myself or others like myself say the Torah, and in fact, let me I'm gonna share my screen, because this has been asked to me before, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and just let people know exactly what is being referred to when referring to the Torah. And I'm just going to read this small part up here. The Torah, or in Hebrew, it means instruction, teaching, or law, is the compilation of the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, namely the books of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. All right. So when you hear myself or others like myself say, is it in the Torah, in the book of the law, things like that? Although the book of the law also is a reference to Leviticus. Is it in the Torah, or we're going to be in the Torah? I'm referring to those first books from Genesis to Deuteronomy of the Bible. That's just some FYI. I know for a lot of people, they already know that. This is for those who might not know. But there's a reason that I'm coming out of the Torah and the Apocrypha. So now I want to share my screen again, because I'm going to kind of do a little teaser here for what I'll be speaking about at the Royal Gathering. Okay. So I want to get a little background information just on Baruch, the book of Baruch, right? So, and of course, we have some technical difficulties. Wait on my screen. There we go. The book of Baruch, ancient text purportedly written by Baruch, the secretary and friend of Jeremiah, the Old Testament prophet. Remember, and this is for if you want to kind of be ahead when the royal gathering comes. Write down Old Testament, please. Write down Old Testament. You can go as far as write down Old Testament, New Testament, and Apocrypha right now. The text is still extant in Greek and in several translations from Greek into Latin, Syriac, Coptic, Ethiopic, and other languages. The book of Baruch is apocryphal. That's why I said to write down Apocrypha. To the Hebrew and Protestant canons, but was incorporated in the Septuagint, the Greek version of the Hebrew Bible. Remember that, the Septuagint. I'm going to talk about all those things at the royal gathering. And was included in the Old Testament for the Roman Catholics. Write down yet again, Old Testament and Roman Catholic. Keep all that in mind. Again, it's just a small spoiler. Very small for what I will be addressing at the royal gathering. But it gives you some background about the book of Baruch, who wrote it. It proves it's canonical because you also see that it was included in the Old Testament for Roman Catholics. Yet, with the Roman Catholic Church being the mother of the harem of all denominations of religion, I want to ask now, before we get to the royal gathering, is it not odd? Because I know I was in a denomination of religion. Is it not odd? Well, I found it quite odd. I'll just speak I'll speak on my behalf. I found it quite odd that not only was Baruch not ever mentioned or ever in the Bible that I had at the time, none of the Apocrypha was. Keep all of that in mind for the royal gathering, what I'll be doing at the royal gathering. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be examining the very basics in regards to Israel. You'll see why it's only in regards to Israel and why it behooves Israel to return to those basics. Now, I want to first, before I get into Baruch, I want to say my beloved brother did a lesson just yesterday. I promise you. There is no irony or coincidence. And people ask me all the time, do you and Mike be talking about what y'all gonna do lessons on? No, we don't. He may mention what the title of his. I might mention the title of mine. Normally, I don't know what Mike is going to do until the middle of the week when he posts it, what the title is, where he's going to come from. I have no idea. A lot of times I can look at the title and be like, I know where he gotta say something about this in this one. But 9 times out of 10, as much as we talk, no, we don't mention it. And yesterday, and we've been kind of on one accord. Well, we've been on one accord for a minute now. Yesterday and today is no different. No different. If you did not see his lesson yesterday, the link will be in the description. Now, with that, I'm going to share my screen, pull the Bible up, and we're going to get started. We're going to get started with Baruch chapter 4. We're only going to get 6 verses in chapter 4. Then we're going to go back to Baruch chapter 3. It behooves you to have your pen and paper handy. All the kings, princes, heads uncovered. All my queens and princesses, please do cover your head, as there will be either prayer or prophesying going on. Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of God and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you the commandments, keeping them, one of the very basic things, Israel, that we are to do. One of the very, very basic things. It even gives a why. It behooves Israel to come back into this basic. They that keep it shall come to life. However, now, such as leave it shall die. There's a reason that it's worded such as leave it. And we're going to get into that. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. In Matthew, you can see about letting your light shine, being illuminated. Jacob, one of our forefathers, whose name was later changed to Israel, right? Direct forefathers of the 12 tribes. Name was later changed to Israel. I want to say again, this is to Israel. This is about Israel. So when we read up in verse 1, but such as leave it shall die, that's in regards to some Israelites. My beloved brother talked about those 2/3 for the last 2 weeks now. Yeah. Yesterday and the Sabbath before, because he spoke of people that say they are of Israel, say they know who they are, but boy, they don't act it. They talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. Verse 3, give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee, to a strange nation. Israel, you can read in several places in the Bible about cleaving to heathen nations. There are only 18 biblical nations in the Bible. Just in case someone didn't know. And I have every intention. I could do it now, but I'm not going to do it now, of giving you all 18 biblical nationalities and how they are both written and spoken in the Hebrew. I have every intention of doing. I already have it, but I got so much to do in this truth for thought, or so. It's 72 scriptures we're going to go over today. It's scripture heavy. So have your pen and paper handy. All right. But it's talking about Israel again, and basically not cleaving to these nations. Okay. Verse 4. O Israel, happy are we for signs that are pleasing to God are made known unto us. What pleases the Most High God of Israel? I told you, y'all gonna hear that a lot today. What pleases him? How do you show the Most High you love him? We're going to get that today. It's one of the basics. One of the basics. Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. A number of people have heard me give them these scriptures. Some of you might be in the live chat today. Deuteronomy 31:6, Joshua 1:6, and Joshua 1:9. If I have not, write those down and go and visit or revisit those scriptures. All right. Verse 6, and this is the last one we gonna get. Ye were sold to the nations. Just so if there's any question as to who these people, who Israel, ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction. Make a note of not for your destruction. That is there for a reason. But because ye moved God to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemies. Now here, Baruch said, Israel, you always separated, but not for your destruction. So I want to see if there's any proof in that. Because what Baruch is referring to here is the curses of Deuteronomy 28. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28, and we're just going to get verse 15. And we're going to see if Baruch, in fact, was correct. These curses were not for our destruction, but for something else. Let's get it. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, this is to Israel, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, one of the basics that we're going to be talking about today. That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Notice it didn't say destroy thee. So the way that Baruch worded, and everybody that pretty much anyone that I've spoken with, they'll tell you every word in any statement or question makes that statement or question. Baruch was very correct when he wrote that these things happen not for our destruction, but because we move the Most High to wrath. These curses were put upon us because we moved the Most High to wrath, not to destroy us, but to overtake us in hopes, or with the intention of Israel coming back to one of these basics. So let's go now to Baruch chapter 3. Again, one of these basics, as we've seen, just keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. Just keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. Baruch chapter 3, verse 1. O Lord Almighty God of Israel. Remember, I said you're going to hear that a lot today. You're going to hear that a lot. In fact, I'm going to bring up a key little nugget for you, Israel, a little later. In fact, when we get down to verse 6. O Lord Almighty God of Israel, the soul is anguished, the troubled spirit crieth unto thee. So why is Baruch crying unto the Most High? Let's see. Hear, O Lord, and have mercy, for thou art merciful, and have pity upon us. Who is us? Israel. That's why in verse 1 it says God of Israel is being... This is being shown, exhibited all throughout the Bible. And it can be proven. For thou art merciful and have pity upon us, because we have sinned before thee. Here's another form of proof. Let's go to 1 John chapter 3 and 4. We're going to come back to Baruch 3. But let's go to 1 John. And we're going to go to chapter 3, verse 4. And it reads, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. We're going to see who the law was given to. Because I tell people all the time, only Israel can sin. All the other 17 biblical nationalities are just wicked people. Not sinful people, wicked people. However, a bunch of Israel are sinful people or sinners. Only Israel can sin. Keep all that in mind, because later on, there's going to be proof as to even that. So let's go back to Baruch chapter 3. Going back to Baruch chapter 3. And we're going to get verse 3. For thou endurest forever, and we perish utterly. O Lord Almighty, thou God of Israel. Yet again, hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites and of their children, which have sinned before thee, transgressed the law, as only they can. Notice Baruch is literally saying dead Israelites, not dead everybody, including Israelites. This is only in regards to Israel, as Israel is the only people that can sin, which have sinned before thee and not hearkened unto the voice of thee, their God. Further saying that in the Holy Bible, the God that you read about is the God of Israel, the God of Isaac, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not the God of every fucking body. There's a reason. There's a reason why even when I was involved in a denomination of Christianity, they didn't want us to know about the Apocrypha. They didn't want us to know about these things. Let me keep going. For the which caused these plagues to cleave unto us. Again, that's in reference to Deuteronomy 28 and 15 on down to 68. The curses. All right. Remember not the iniquities of our forefathers, but think upon thy power and thy name now at this time. I want to tell you, Israel, I have done a truth for thought with this exact, and it'll be in the description, this exact title. Have we not learned from the errors of our forefathers? We can learn from the good things our forefathers and foremothers did, as well as the errors of our forefathers and foremothers. Every error was a transgression of the law. Every error recorded in the Bible was a transgression of at least one law, a sin. Right? Every good thing is showing that they are walking in righteousness, keeping the laws, doing the very basic thing of keeping the law. All right. Verse 6, for thou art the Lord our God, and thee, O Lord, will we praise. So now I want to go to Exodus chapter 3. We're going to get verses 15 and 16. Exodus 3, we're going to get verses 15 and 16. Since we're looking at these possessional pronouns of our and your, our God, your people, things like that. Let's just look at this. Exodus chapter 3, verses 15 and 16. And God said, moreover unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, not every fucking body on the face of the planet of earth, the Lord God of your forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, have sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. I distinctly remember reading in Baruch 4 about a memorial. But let's just keep going. Verse 16. Go and gather the elders of Israel together. Boy, y'all don't know how big a deal it is that the royal gathering is. But I'm going to make it my thing to do. On that Sabbath, I'm going to let you know, Israel, how big a deal the royal gathering is each time we congregate for the royal gathering. So on that Friday, of course, I'm going to do a lesson, but then on that Saturday, I'm still going to do a truth for thought. And in that truth for thought, I'm going to let you know how big a deal it is that Israel gathers. Verse 16, go and gather the elders of Israel together and say unto them, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. And I understand that a lot of times it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse when I keep saying, you know, the Most High is not the God of everyone. And it seems like it would be understood, yet so many people of Israel descent, so many so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and natives will come to me and say, God is the God of everyone. So the horse can't be too dead. This is still being said. This is still actually indoctrinating. So yes, I will continue to beat that dead horse because the horse isn't too dead. All right. I told y'all I was gonna give y'all a little nugget. Listen, you can read the exact words God of Israel in the King James Version of the Bible, a total of 223 verses. 223 verses throughout the whole Bible, up and including the Apocrypha. All right. The whole Bible. If you wrote down some notes for the Royal Gathering lesson, write that down. The whole Bible. All right. So let's go back to Baruch chapter 3. We're going to go back to, we finished verse 6. We're going to go to verse 7. And for this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts. I will tell you, fear of the Most High is the other basic thing we're going to address today. All right. But here Baruch says, for this cause, right, thou hast put thy fear in our hearts. Everybody ain't gonna fear the Most High. Not gonna happen. It's 2/3 of Israel not gonna even fear for one reason or the other, whether they were ignorant to fearing him, or they one of the ones that you go and you tell, hey, you know who you are, and you tell them who they are. And they look at you and say, no, you a lie. I'm an African American. I'm not an Israelite. Whether they're ignorant to the fact, whether they've been told it, yet they just want to denounce it right off the bat, whether they were in the truth and backslid, it doesn't matter. At least 2/3 of Israel will not fear the Most High. That is just the truth. I can't lie to you. For this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name and praise thee in our captivity. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee. I wanna go to Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 2. I wanna go back to the Torah instruction law. I want to go, it is in those 5 books. It's in the Torah. I want to go to Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 2. And it reads, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. If you can recall, in Baruch 4 You read about those who did these two basic things and live, while there were some who went away from these two basic things and it didn't go so well. It's prophesied that it will not go so well for that number. Okay? But here you see fear of the Most High, a very basic thing, something we need to come back into, something our nation needs to come back into, along with coming back into doing the laws, statutes, and commandments. So now let's go back to Baruch. Back to Baruch, chapter 3. We're going to get verses. Start at verse 8. We just finished verse 7. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. That holds true right now, for real. Baruch was talking about back in his day. That still holds true today. You know why? Deuteronomy 28 and 15 on down. It still stands. But there will be a certain day where those curses will be lifted. But let's just keep reading. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse. So one of those curses was the scattering of us, Israel, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God. Listen to this, Israel. First, there is no doing nothing in secret from the Most High. Again, his eyes are strong, 10,000 times as strong as the sun. He sees all. Not to mention, he gets reports. He gets reports. And a lot of chariots have been seen lately. A whole lot of chariots. Oh, they report. But the Most High, and I've done a couple of scriptures about this, he forgets nothing. One of the oldies but goodies that is always said, because it applies to Edom. For the iniquities of your fathers. That wasn't just for Edom, though. You can also find where the Most High says that to Israel in the Bible. Again, I can't lie to you. I'm not going to just tell you something that'll make you smile without telling you the whole truth. The whole truth is the Most High forgets no iniquities of any fathers, whether they're of Israel or not. That Israel is the truth. That is the truth. This is proof of such. Verse 9, hear Israel the commandments of life, give ear to understand wisdom. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxing old in a strange country, boy. I've done some truthful thoughts about the land of the north. Babylon. I've done the prophecy of Babylon. I've done Babylon just like her mother. Man, Israel, we have been sounding the alarm for our nation for a minute now. Again, some might say up to the degree of beating a dead horse. Yet, we're going to continue to do it, be the Most High's will. It's commanded of us. So as long as I'm walking in righteousness, I will continue to beat that dead horse because the horse couldn't be too dead. Somebody still don't know this. All right? That thou art defiled with the dead. Now, again, the things that Baruch are talking about, he's referencing, again, back to Deuteronomy 28 and 15 on down. He's referencing to the curses. He's asking a question, and you can find the answers to this question in Deuteronomy 28, 15 on down to 68, right? But I've also said to Israel before, and I want to share this with you now. Let's go to Isaiah 54 and 4. Isaiah 54 and 4. We're not in the Torah. We are in the Old Testament. Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 4. Because I often say this to people, and I decided I'm going to let this be known in the truth for thought as well. Instead of when I'm talking to people individually, let's do this. Just wrap this shit on. Fear not. Now, I just said about the fear of the Most High, right? But this verse says, fear not. This fear is of anything of the world, including any man, anything that any man can do to you or in your direction. The Most High says, fear not. So I've told Israel before, it's two things you're not supposed to be. That's afraid and ashamed, right? And I can prove it. I can prove it. I'm finna prove it. For thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded. For thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget thy shame of thy youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore. All of us have a past. I have a past. Boy, am I full of reproach. But I repented. I repented to have those reproach blotted out, right? But let's go over this fear. Fear not. Why I tell Israel, it's two things you shouldn't do. Be fear anything outside of the Most High or be ashamed. Listen to this. And Israel, tell me if this makes sense. You don't fear anything of the world. The only thing you fear is the Most High, right? As we read in Baruch, it's because of that fear that we are to do the law, statutes, and commandments, right? If you do all the law, statutes, and commandments, you have nothing to be ashamed of. There, you can find no shame or blame. It's the reason why Yahweh was referred to as blameless. He was shameless. He followed all the laws, statutes, and commandments. So, Israel, the goal is this. Fear not anything of the world. Fear only the Most High. Because if you fear the Most High, you'll fear things like sins to the death, transgressions of the law to the death, which would then be highly motivating for you to uphold the law, statutes, and commandments. Well, there's no shame in that. So in actuality, Israel, you should never be afraid in regards to the world, and you should never be ashamed. If you're doing the two basic things that I'm addressing here today. All right, so now let's go back to Baruch. Going back to Baruch and we're going to start back. We're going to pick up where we left off, which is verse 11. Baruch chapter 3, verse 11. And it reads, that thou art counted with them that go down into the grave, that thou hast forsaken the fountain of wisdom. Wait a minute, this word wisdom has come up again. For if thou hadst walked in the way of God, Israel, if even our forefathers had walked in the way of the Most High, thou should have dwelt in peace forever. Forever. Not a part of the time, not for 3 or 4 years. Forever. Which is why if you go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and you read verses 1 through 14 and see how those blessings would overtake thee. That would have been forever. However, and I say this a lot, Israel, oh Israel, even Israel of old, with Deuteronomy 1 and 14 being option A, and Deuteronomy 15 through 68 being option B, Israel chose option B. At least the greater majority of Israel did. And that's all it took to drive the Most High to wrath. To put these curses on us, not to destroy us, but yes, to overtake us, to remind us to get back to the fucking basics, which I'm addressing here today. So now I want you to remember verse 12. Thou hast forsaken the wisdom, the fountain of wisdom. Highlight it, bookmark it, whatever you got to do. There's a key there. I'm telling you now, that's part of the whole. All right. Verse 13, for if thou wouldest walked in the way of God, of the Most High, thou should have dwelled in peace forever. Verse 14, learn where is wisdom. And we finna find out where wisdom is. Scripturally, where is strength? Where is understanding? That thou mayest know also where is length of days and life, where is the light of the eyes and peace. Now, again, we read Baruch 14. It talked about being enlightened. I referenced to Matthew. I didn't give the exact verse, but in Matthew, you can see about letting your light shine, right? There is no irony or coincidence, Israel. Everything in this Bible is worded the way that it is for a reason. All right. So now I want to go back to the Torah, to Deuteronomy chapter 4. Remember, we talked about the law, statutes, and commandments. We talked about fear and who or what to and not to fear. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4. Let's see if there's some proof in some of the things that I have said and read. Deuteronomy chapter 4. We're going to get verses 4 through 6. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 4. But ye that did cleave unto the Lord your God, like it said in Baruch chapter 4, verse 1, those who stayed with the law are alive, every one of you this day. It literally said that way in the Apocrypha in Baruch, right? Verse 5, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me. So even as the Most commanded Moses, this is Moses, he taught the laws, statutes, and commandments to Israel, right? That ye should do so in the land whither you go to possess it, right? Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nation, that ye should do so or which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely. And we're talking about you, Israel. We're talking about what the other nations, some already doing it now, but definitely will be doing and did in the past. Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. And that sounds so good. And for those of you that's walking in righteousness, it's applicable. Then I think about others of Israelite descent and how unwise, unlearned, unwavering, all these words, I promise you, you can find in the Bible. Nothing good in association with these words, but I will tell you, unlearned, unwavering. Downright wicked, some of them. Yes, wickedness is everywhere, including Israel. I have said this to many people. I've done truth for thoughts about Israel. We got to get back to the basics. All right. So here you see about wisdom and understanding. We're going to get some other verses about wisdom, about her. Remember that. Wisdom is a her. All right. Wisdom is a her. You can see this in the wisdom of Solomon, Songs of Solomon, Psalms, Proverbs. Wisdom is a her. It is referred to as a her. Okay. So now let's go back to Baruch, chapter 3. Remember all that stuff that y'all just saw and that we just read in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 4 through 6, in regards to wisdom and understanding, especially when you're looking at verse 14, Baruch 3 and 14. But now we're going to go to verse 15. Listen to this, Israel. Who have found out her play, or who have come into her treasure. So now I want to go to, we're going to start in Proverbs. We're going to go to Proverbs. We're going to go to Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. Who have found out her place, right? Proverbs chapter 9 and verse 10, and it reads, the fear of the Lord, the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. and knowledge of the holy is understanding. What is the first step in acquiring her? One of the very basics, fearing the Most High. Okay, so now I want to get another precept to that. Let's go to Psalms chapter 111 and verse 10. Psalms chapter 111, and we're going to get verse 10. We're going to just see. I just got to see. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandment. His praise endureth forever. Uh-oh. Here you see, look for these basic things. You see her in wisdom as well as understanding, something that we just read about in Baruch chapter 3, verse 14. Now let's go to Ecclesiasticus. We're going back to the Apocrypha, the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. And we're going to get chapter 1, verse 14. Let's just see. Let's just see. To fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and it was created with the faithful in the womb. So, getting back to the basics, one of those basics is fearing the Most High. And to fear the Most High, as you all can see, rubber band came off. As you all can see, is the beginning, the very beginning of acquiring her. But as you're acquiring her or wisdom, you'll begin to get an understanding. Then if you continue to study to shew thyself approved, you increase your wisdom because you're going to fear the Most High more and more because you're going to get an understanding. And a lot of these commandments, they go to the death. So the fear of the Most High grows and your understanding grows. You're keeping the law, statutes, and commandment grows. Just getting back to the basics. Just from getting back to the basics. So now I want to go to the wisdom of Solomon, still in the Apocrypha. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 22. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 22. And it reads, as for wisdom, as for her, what she is and how she came up, I will tell you and will not hide mysteries from you, but will seek her out from the beginning of her nativity and bring the knowledge of her into light and will not pass. Listen to this, Israel, over the truth. There's no irony. There's no coincidence that that scripture is worded the way that it is. No irony at all. So now let's go back. Because we just learned a lot about her, where her stems from. When you start to acquire her, it's from fearing the Most High. We also saw that although you fear the Most High, you don't fear anything else of this world. Right? And you should never be ashamed if you keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Just these two basic things. Not to mention, you'll live. Just these two basic things. Why, Israel? We need to go back to the basics. So let's go back now to Baruch. Go back to Baruch chapter 3. All right, go back to Baruch chapter 3. And we're going to start at verse where we left off, verse 16, right? Because now you finna hear a bunch of things in regards to wisdom, in regards to her, okay? Where are the princes of the heathen become, and such as rule the beasts upon the earth? That they had their pastime with the fowls of the air, and that they that hoarded up silver and gold, wherein men trust. See, these men, they feared being broke. You got people like that today, of the heathen nations and of Israel. Then you can look at those people. I know I have. I just speak in terms of me. I can look at them and say, okay, well, you worried about being broke, then where is your faith? Or do you have a faith in anything, in a entity at all? But my beloved brother, he did a lesson. I think the exact title is "Where is your faith?" So I'm not gonna go into. I'm not gonna go into it. I kind of talked about how faith without works is dead. Do y'all see how all of this? James wrote this, all this stuff, and I've talked about that recently. So has my beloved brother Mike Mount. All this is all connected. Yet I'm mentioning it again. Well, one would say I'm beating a dead horse. I say again, well, the horse couldn't be too goddamn dead. There's still a need to mention it. Let me keep reading. And made no end of their getting. So you finna hear a whole bunch of questions. For they that wrought in silver and were so careful, and whose works are unsearchable, they are vanished and gone down to the grave. And others are come up in their stead. So you got these people that was born with a silver platter, silver spoon in their mouth. Some of them have died, and then there are others that have come up behind them, their heir, right? And again, notice there's not any biblical nationality attached to these questions and these statements. That means there are even people in Israel or of Israelite descent that do this same shit, and they got this shit from cleaving to the heathen nations. They made themselves one of the two types of Gentiles. As the heathen nations is one type of Gentile, and those that cleave to those heathen nations are another type of Gentile. I've done a truth thought about that. Not gonna go in on that. I also addressed that kind of recently, but let me just keep going. Young men have seen light and dwelt upon the earth, but the way of knowledge have they not known. That says a lot. We got young men today, right? And the Christian church gonna love to hear me say this. They've been saved by grace, but the grace is the grace of time. As they see their brethren dying, and they are graced with some time, you better get your shit together, little bro. You better hurry up and get your shit together. Because right now, a light is shining on you. And I promise you, our young princes and princesses, they falling by the wayside, Israel. They will see the club get shot out last Friday and say, I'm going to go to the club next week anyway. And then they get shot. They did not take advantage of their time from last Friday to this Friday where they got shot. I just don't get it. My people are not even just paying attention to the little bitty thing. It ain't even got to be something so broad and extravagant. But why the hell was you out in the club Friday at dark anyway? That's the Sabbath. And you couldn't have wanted to live because you weren't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, because on the Sabbath, you out in the club. For those that think that that's just a coincidence, that something like that can happen, I did a truth for thought about a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York on the Sabbath. And everybody gunned down was of Israel descent. Just irony. Just coincidence. No such fucking thing. Let me just keep going. I'll fuck around and get stuck right here. And for what the truth of thought is about. Where did I? Nor understood the paths thereof, nor laid hold of it. Their children were off from that way. That is going on right now today. And this is a term that you normally hear camps say, when they say, man, that brother's off. It means he's off from the way of righteousness. He's definitely not practicing the laws. He's not observing the laws, statutes, and commandments. Or she is off. She's not observing the laws, statutes, and commandments. She's off because it's Christmas and it's the pagan ass holiday Christmas, and she got a fucking hat on her head with fur on it and a little fur ball at the end, looking like Santa. And if you just rearrange the letters in the word Santa, you get Satan. But Santa, she's off. She's departed from the way. As we read in Baruch 4:1. You see about those that stay the course, doing the law, statutes, and commandments. Then you see the ones that left. Again, I'm only talking about Israelites because only Israel can keep or not keep the law. All the other nations, they cannot fear the Most High. That matters not. But anyone of Israel descent not fearing the Most High, there's a problem there. That's just a basic thing that people of Israel, Israelite descent, are to do. Let me keep going. It have not been heard of in Canaan, neither hath it been seen in Theman. So now what it's doing is it's talking about her again. It's referring back to her and wisdom. And the Agarenes that seek wisdom upon earth, the merchants of Moran and of Teman, the authors of fable. Listen to these. Motherfuckers that seek the truth, damn fools that seek the truth, will tell lies. They will lie to you. Authors of fables and searchers out of understanding. So they're looking for her, they're looking for wisdom, they're seeking her and seeking understanding. None of these have known the way of wisdom, but none of them knew. None of them ever found her. Thus, they never got an understanding or remembered her past. All from not doing two basic fundamental fucking things. Now, where you see the Agarenes, that's talking about the people of Israelite descent that live there. So we'll have to break this down so that this won't come up. And the merchants of Teman, some of them were of Israelite descent, but just were there. It's no different than Paul was a Roman because he resided in Rome. He spoke straight out of his mouth and said, I too am an Israelite. All right, so don't get this shit twisted. That's why when you get to the end, it says, or remembered her past. They were some of the ones who in Baruch 4 went straight away from the path, went off from the path. Like some of the people that's off right now today. I'm still talking about Israel. Israel is the same. We are the same. We were the same people of old as we are today. We're the same damn shit, actually. All this, it is. Sometimes I think, I've come to the conclusion that using a little bitty word like crazy, just that couldn't possibly work for me. I'm going to use some bigger words. It is so perplexing to me that it is hard to understand this. My people, our people, our nation, doing some of the same dumbass shit that our forefathers did. Again, I'm going to leave in the description. Just one of the lessons I've done, and it was in regards to idolatry. Have we not learned from the errors of our forefathers? Just the title alone, that means some of our forefathers and foremothers, they fucked up. Why the hell are we doing the same shit? It is insanity. As a nation, it would be insane of us to do the same shit that we read about that we should not do, or and do that as opposed to seeing what we are supposed to do and opt not to do that and expect a different outcome. That is the epitome of insanity. Yet, my people, boy, I tell you, my people can pull it off. We were to be living in peace forever, but no. If any people can fuck it up, my people can fuck it up. But there's a certain day that is to come, Israel. And although I'm saying this, I'm just being very truthful. I do understand. But there's a certain day when a certain number is met. Things gonna change. It's not gonna be like it is. However, we're living in the days where there's no change. Things are changing, but the change hadn't been totally manifested yet. All right. Let me keep going. Verse 24. Oh, Israel, how great is the house of God, and how large is the place of his possession. Again, to the rest of the world, I know some of y'all gonna hear this. I don't give a fuck that y'all hear this. This ain't got shit to do with you. Not a thing. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Verse 25. Great and have none in, high and unmeasurable. Verse 26, there were giants, famous from the beginning, that were of so great stature and so expert in war. There are people that say the Apocrypha ain't part of the real Bible. It's part of that's the reason I'm doing the lesson that I'm going to do for the Royal Gathering. But we're going to take a look again. We're going to see if that which Baruch is referencing to is true or not. Now, notice he said there were the giants famous from the beginning. We're going to go to the Torah. In fact, we're going to go to the beginning. We're going to go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis 6 and 4. We're going to see how canonical the Apocrypha is. Thus far, just today. Just today. And when I say canonical, it means of the canon, of the gospel, of the rest of the Bible. Does it walk in line? And if it didn't, I wouldn't have been able to get as many of the precepts as I have to this point in this truth for thought. However, this whole truth for thought is for a much bigger reason than just the two basics and Israel returning to some very basic things. All right. So let's go to Genesis. And we're going to get chapter 6 and verse 4. Let's see about these. If Baruch is in line, or is he off? Is the Apocrypha in line, or is it off? Let's see. There were giants. Isn't this the beginning? This is Genesis, the genome of, the beginning of. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of gods came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. I want to go back now to Baruch, chapter 3. Said these were some mighty things, right? Mighty things. These giants from in the beginning. Baruch chapter 3, we're going to go back to verse 26. I just want to see something. They were so great in stature and so expert in war. They were mighty. It's lining. I mean, every precept that I've gotten pretty much corroborates this. But again, that's something for the royal gathering. But I also said at the beginning of this lesson, there's a reason why I'm coming from the Torah and Baruch. And then I even reworded and said from the Torah and the Apocrypha. There is a reason. I will be referencing back to this particular truth for thought, even then at the royal gathering. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Now, let's go ahead and get this summed on up. Verse 27, those did not the Lord choose, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them. And it is true, if you go back to Genesis chapter 6, you'll see where the Most High wiped them out. He didn't choose them. Very true. Lining right on up. Lining right on up. But they were destroyed because they had no wisdom and perished through their own foolishness. Who have gone up into heaven? I'm glad I got to this. And taken her and brought her down from the clouds. Oh boy, but I would tell you about a book that is non-canonical. Enoch. The book of Enoch is non-canonical. I want to read this question again. Who have gone up into heaven and taken her, or taken note of her, taken anything while in heaven, and brought her down from the clouds, even brought it down and wrote about it? Now, in order for Enoch to be canonical, that could have been a possibility. I will tell you, this is a rhetorical question. And this is not the only place where that rhetorical question is seen. So that's going to prove two things now. How non-canonical Enoch is, but how canonical the Apocrypha is. I want to prove it. Let's go to Proverbs 30 and 4. We're going to see. Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 4. Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 4. I know it's a lot going on in this truth of thought, but as I see things like this, and I tell y'all all the time, please excuse me, but as I see it, I got to call this shit out. Have to. Proverbs 30 and 4. Who hath ascended up into heaven or descended? Who hath gathered the winds in his fist? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? These are rhetorical questions. What is his son's name? If thou canst tell, you can't. Because no man has ever ascended into the heaven, descended from the heaven, and lived to tell about it. Now, even Yahushua, those things that are wrote of Yahushua, it was written while he was here, not after his death. His death was told of from when he was here. The things that he spoke of was when he was here, unless they were revealed to him. At that point in time, he's already up with the Most High, right? He's sitting there awaiting some orders, actually. He's awaiting orders from the Most High that's going to be given to an angel, and the angel going to come out and tell Yahushua, it's that time. Right? But even Yahushua didn't ascend into heaven and then come back down to write about it. But This rhetorical question is, what is that man's name? And what is that son's name? What is that man's son's name? That's how rhetorical this question is. Then it goes and says, if thou canst tell, if there is such a man. Let's go now to John chapter 3, verse 13. Because, see, in the book of Enoch, man, Enoch records seeing and having conversations with the heavenly host, with the angels in the heavens. Not here on earth. In the heavens. He recorded those conversations, came down and wrote about it. Negative. That is non-canonical. That does not go with the scripture. We just saw in the Old Testament. Now we're going to go to the New Testament. We're going to go to John chapter 3 and verse 13. Let's just see. John chapter 3 and verse 13. And no man, now this is out of the words, out of the mouth of Yahweh. Let's see what he got to say. Now, this was while he was walking as a man on this place. And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. If he's professing that, how in the world, how in the hell, how in the fuck, how did it come that Enoch is canonical? When it was written by someone who says he was in the heavens, recorded it, came down, and wrote about it. Negative, non-canonical from both the Old Testament and the New Testament. I'm sorry for those, some of y'all subscribe to Enoch, but I'm telling you it's non-canonical, and I can't lie. I have repented for that. I can do that sin no more. This is why I proved it. 1 Thessalonians 5 and 21, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. The question, Israel, to those who subscribe to the book of Enoch is, can you hold fast to that which is good, as that which is good is something that has been proven? I just proved it to you. Can you hold fast to that, or will you continue to subscribe to a non-canonical book? That's a good question. I'll tell you what, that ain't a good question for me, because hey, nope. I'm not doing it. I'm not subscribing to it. I understand why. That's another reason why I do my truth thoughts the way that I do. I'm not going to just tell you something. I'm going to explain to you why, so that you understand not just that thing, but the why for that thing. Everything behind whatever that thing is. All right. So now let's go back to Baruch chapter 3. Baruch chapter 3, we're going to go to verse where we left off, verse 30, right? Who hath gone over the sea and found her, and will bring her for pure gold? No man knoweth her way, nor thinketh of her path. Now, it's going to tell you the one entity that can do these things, right? Let's just. But he that knoweth all things, Here goes that one entity. Literally knoweth her. Literally knoweth wisdom. Just that one entity. Let's just keep reading. And have found her out with his understanding. He that prepared the earth forevermore have filled it with four-footed beasts. Who is this? This is the Most High. The only one entity. Keep going. This same entity, he that sendeth forth light, and it goeth, calleth it again, and it obeyeth him with fear. This is proving this is the Most High. But let's just keep going. The stars shined in their watches and rejoiced when he called them. They say, here we be. And so with cheerfulness, they shewed light unto him that made them. Go all the way back to Genesis. You can see that. But here's the further proof in the pudding. This is our God. This is the Most High God of Israel. And there shall none other be accounted of in comparison of him. Well, now I want to go up. Now I'm going to go ahead and go down to verse 36. He hath found out all the way of knowledge and hath given it to, lo and behold, Jacob, his servant, and to Israel, his beloved. Whenever y'all hear me or y'all see me type the word beloved, this is why. This is why you are my beloved brothers, my beloved sisters. As Israel are the beloved children of the Most High. But I want to see something real quick because King Mike Malice went over this. I've gone over this a bunch. He's gone over this a bunch, but just to prove yet again, just to prove that the whole entire Bible, remember I'm saying this again, and this again is a precursor for the Royal Gallery. The whole entire Bible is not about the whole entire people that occupy this space known as Earth. But it is about a certain people. And this people is Israel. But let's go. Let's make sure that this knowledge and the laws and the statutes and the commandment and all of this was given to a certain people. Oh no, let's see what just happened. Okay, let me share my screen again. Go back to here. Okay, so why do I always have these little difficulties at the craziest time. So let me go ahead and open this back up so I can open my Bible back up yet again. Gee whiz. I can tell you now, Israel, we're about to go to Psalms 147. We're going to get verses 19 through 20. And then I'm gonna go ahead and sum up this truth for thought. I know there's a lot of stuff in this truth for thought, but I'm gonna go ahead and sum up this truth for thought. In regards to the basics, the two basic things that I was talking about. So we're gonna go to Psalms chapter 147. And hopefully y'all learn some things outside of just these two basic things that Israel, we definitely need to get back to. Hopefully you all learn some other things outside of that. All right. Because, yeah, I covered a number of things in this Truth for Thought. Psalms 147 and verse 19. Psalms 147 and 19. And it reads, this is in regards to the Most High, right? He sheweth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. Verse 20, he hath not dealt so with any other nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord, Israel. He only deals with you, Israel. He's only ever dealt with you, Israel. But now there are some basic things, Israel, that we were to do. So now I want to go back to the Torah. Back to the Torah. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. And we're going to get verses 13 through 15. And they read, Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him and shalt swear by his name. One of those basics is fearing the Most High. Verse 14, ye shall not go after other gods, only for you, Israel, of the gods of the people which are round about you. For the Lord thy God, again, for you, Israel, is a jealous God among you. Lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee and destroy thee off the face of the earth. So one of the basics that we just got to get back to, our people have to get back to, our nation has to get back to, is fearing the Most High. Let's drop down to verse 24. Deuteronomy chapter 6, we're going to get 24 and 25. And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive. Again, the same thing we read in Baruch 4. Preserve us alive as it is at this day, and it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God as he hath commanded us. We need to get back to the basics, Israel, fearing the Most High and nothing else, absolutely nothing else, and keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. Very, very basic things that we need to get back into. Last but not least, we're going to stay in the Torah. We're going to go to Deuteronomy. We're going to go to chapter 11 this time. Chapter 11, we're going to get verses 22 through 28. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments, which I command you to do them, to love the Lord your God. I distinctly remember saying way at the beginning, we're going to find out what it is to love the Most High. Doing the law, statutes, and commandments. And you see how all this stuff ties in together. These are things I know I've said. I know my beloved brother, King Gideon has said. I know my beloved brother, King Yada has said. I know my beloved brother, King Yada has said. And King Mike Malice has said. We still beating this dead ass horse. Well, I'll tell you the why. Because the fucking horse ain't dead. It couldn't be too dead because we're still having to say this to our nation. To love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him, not to the other nations, not to the gods of the other nations, but to cleave unto him, as he is our God, and we, Israel, are his people. Verse 23, then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, Israel. From the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea, shall your coast be. We got to get back to the basics. Verse 25, there shall no man be able to stand before you, for the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he hath said unto you. And I think I distinctly remember earlier we went over a verse where it says all the nations will say how wise you are and how great your understanding, and now they fear you even more so. Let me keep going. Verse 26, behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if ye obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day. The reason why we visited Deuteronomy 28 and 15, this is why, like I said, you got option A, which is Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. That's what verse 27 is talking about. Or you got option B, Deuteronomy 28, verse 15 on down to 68. That's what verse 28 is talking about. And a curse, if ye will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside out of the way, off, just like we talked about in Baruch chapter 3, which I commanded you this day to go after other gods which ye have not known. Listen, Israel. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Time is of the essence. That grace, remember I was talking about the grace of time. Well, time is drawing nigh, right? It behooves Israel to go back to the basics. And this is why. What are those basics? Not fearing anything outside of the Most High. If you are of Israelite descent, the only thing you need to fear is the Most High, God of Israel, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That is it, and nothing else. Right? The other basic, just doing the law, statutes, and commandments. If you do the law, statutes, and commandments, instead of holidays, you'll be observing high holy days and feast days. You won't be going to church on Sunday, worshiping the sun god, because you won't observe any other gods, only our God, but you will keep the Sabbath holy. We got to get back to the basics, Israel. It is just that simple. And the reasons why, there's one 4-letter word, there's a 5-letter word, and then there's a much bigger word that sums it up. The 4-letter word, live or life. The 5-letter words, saved. The much bigger word, salvation. It is that fucking simple. Is it for everybody? Oh no. It ain't for everybody. It is only for Israel. Only for Israel. I'm going to say it again. Might be some people in the back talking amongst each other. Only for Israel. Not everybody else. So, Israel. I'm going to go through again the same thing that I led this truth for thought off with. In the description, you're going to see a couple of things. You're going to see some links to anything that I use in this truth for thought. You're going to see links to a bunch of referred truth for thoughts or lessons by my beloved brother, King Mike Malice, or me. You're also going to see some GoFundMe. So I want to go back over the people in the prayer list. I want you all to please keep in prayer, as these, again, are Israelites that are walking in righteousness. They are not sinners. They are walking in righteousness. The Bible says not to pray for sinners. Yes, I know. King Diamond and Queen Lashonda, keep them in prayer. Queen Raya, Queen Valerie, Queen Keisha, King Will and his family, King Orbia, Queen Melinda, King Jermaine and Queen Kenya, King Ricky, a.k.a. Pretty Ricky of the royal family, Queen Tanya, King Waleed, Queen Carly, King Yada, King Gideon, Queen Doris, King Mike Malice, and myself. I will tell you, Israel, if I forgot anyone. I say to you, Salakia, please forgive me. Please forgive me. All right. You'll also find the link to the Royal Gathering ticket purchase. It is the Sabbath. Be obedient, Israel. Wait until after the Sabbath. But understand, we can't wait to see you. We love to see you there. There is limited seating. So you want to secure yourself. Go ahead and get your ticket. With that, Israel, I hope that I know it's like, I said this about at least 15 times. I know it's like beating a dead horse. Y'all hear us talk about keeping the law, statutes, and commandments all the time. And I tell you, time is drawing nigh. That is commanded of us. It is commanded of us to continue to. There are some people of Israelite descent who they truly don't know. They are truly ignorant, as the Bible says. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. By definition, that is ignorance. It's not just because there's nothing else to talk about or not. No, the thing is this. Yahushua was sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But that's not all inclusive. That means there were some sheep that were not lost. So with lessons like this, with truth for thoughts like this, right? I hope y'all did learn some precepts, though, at least studying along with those who may be lost. They needed things like this truth for thought, okay? Not so much ones that are already on that path. Although sometimes it is good to recollect. The Bible even says to recall things. This truth for thought is something that has a couple of different reasons for being done. All right. Israel, we gotta get back to the basics. You gotta get back to the basics. It's this truth for thought is a precursor for what I'm gonna do for the Royal Gathering. But it is true, Israel. We must get back to the basics and stop complicating simplicity. Many people who have spoken with me personally, they've heard me say this over and over. Boy, my people can complicate simplicity. It is so simple, yet we will complicate it. So with that, Israel, I'm going to say it's your beloved brother, King Marcus G. Till next time, be it the Most High will. I love you, and I bid you Shabbat Shalom.